What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. This past weekend, Logan Paul entered an exhibition boxing match against world champion Floyd Mayweather, wearing his BGS graded 10 first edition base set Shadowless Charizard around his neck. He now claims that card is worth $1 million. What if I told you that Charizard's not even the best one? In this video, I rank all of the Charizards ever printed in the Pokemon TCG from best to worst. Let's scope it out. The original Charizard from base set 1999, Logan Paul just wore a BGS 10, and I have to say it's overrated. We're going C tier. Dark Charizard, owned by Team Rocket, may only have 80 hit points, but by far one of the coolest looking Charizards that has ever been printed. Immediate S tier. Up next, we got Blaine's Charizard from the Gym Challenge set. Blaine's Charizard has a misprint that all of them have. Its Roaring Flames attack says discard all fighting energy cards attached to Blaine's Charizard. Blaine's Charizard is an awesome card. It's got a classic artwork. He's just breathing flames out all over the place. A tier. Our next Charizard on the list makes me cry every time I look at it. Shining Charizard, the Zard that got away. I used to own a PSA 10 first edition Shining Charizard, and I sold it for $2,000. Now I could have bought a car with that Charizard. S tier. Expedition Charizard from the e-reader series. You could scan this card with your Game Boy and put it into the game. Even though I had never actually done that, theoretically you could, which I guess is pretty cool. Unfortunately, this Charizard looks really goofy and kind of 3D animated in a way that makes it C tier. There's the wrong Expedition Charizard, the holographic one, obviously worth a lot more, but this Charizard's actually got a pretty dope artwork. So even though it's worth a fraction of what the holographic Zard is worth, we're bumping the non-holo Expedition Zard up to B tier. Crystal Charizard from Skyridge has got to be one of the most unplayable Charizards. I mean, playability and Charizard just don't go together. Crystal Charizard can be like any type. It could be fire, lightning, or fighting type. S tier. All in all, a pretty forgettable Charizard. So we're going to drop it into C tier. Charizard EX from Fire Red Leaf Green. Literally Fire Red Leaf Green, one of the coolest sets of all time. This was the first Charizard that could ever deal 200 damage. Immediate S tier. Delta Species Charizard from Crystal Guardians is the only Charizard that is Metal type. It is also the only Charizard that is Lightning type, and one of only a handful that is not Fire type. So for that, we'll drop it into B tier. Charizard Gold Star. The Gold Star Pokemon are some of the coolest Pokemon cards ever printed in the history of the Pokemon TCG, and also some of the most valuable. This card is worth thousands of dollars, but I don't care about the cost of the Zard. I just care about the vibe it exudes. This Charizard Gold Star has an epic artwork. It's shiny, one of the first shiny Charizards ever printed. I don't know if you actually count Shining Charizard as shiny. It's breathing flames out of its mouth that go beyond the border of the Pokemon card. And for that, we're going to have to put it into A tier. Shining Charizard actually is shiny, making Charizard Gold Star the second shiny Charizard ever printed, demoted to B tier. Charizard from Power Keepers. I've never even heard of that set. D tier. It's kind of got the early 2000s 3D animation vibe going on. Yeah, this thing is definitely going to the bin. D tier. This Charizard from Stormfront is just the same as base set Charizard, except it's got a little bit of like a revamped artwork. Scoop. Whoopie whoop. D tier. Charizard G from Supreme Victors. I have never been a believer in Pokemon G or Pokemon SP. What is it supposed to mean? It's got this goofy looking dude with gray hair in the corner. I've never heard of him. D tier. Charizard G Level X. There's 2 of these dudes. They got different artwork. I have to say, the artwork on Charizard G Level X is pretty gnarly. I wouldn't be upset if these Charizard G Level X cards were in my binder. So for that, I'll put them in C tier. Charizard from Arceus. This is the worst looking Charizard out of the whole bunch. If there was an F tier, it would go there. Boundaries Crossed was a great Pokemon trading card game set. Stage 2 Pokemon still only have 160 hit points, and this Charizard was released a decade ago. The artwork is solid. For that, we'll slap it into A tier. So it's not the first, not the second, maybe the third Shining Charizard. How many Shining Charizards are there? Looks like an A tier card to me. This Charizard from Legendary Treasures is textbook gnar. This Charizard is definitely shredding. This is the kind of Charizard I want on my team. It looks like it's a reprint of the one from Boundaries Crossed, except this one is just gnarlier. S tier and Boundaries Crossed getting demoted to C tier. This Charizard EX going straight to D tier. Now there was the good Charizard EX from Flash Fire. It was actually played in some decks. Could do 150 damage with Muscle Band. You could boost that up to 170 damage to knock out some common Pokemon EX. You could power it up with Blacksmith. I'll give you the pass. Put you into C tier. Mega Charizard EX from Flash Fire comes in both Dragon type and Fire type. The Dragon type Mega Charizard, 230 HP. That's pretty significant, okay? There's some big numbers. If we know anything about Charizard cards, the bigger the numbers, the better the Charizard. It's got blue flames coming out of its mouth. For that, we're putting it into S tier, and its brother is going into D tier. Yet another Charizard EX. I mean, the Charizard EXs from the X and Y block, they feel like a dime a dozen, and they're about worth that as well. This promo Zard is going straight to the dumpster tier. Cards from Generations can fetch a pretty penny these days, but I wouldn't pay anything for this Charizard EX because it's goofy looking. And yeah, it's going right here into D tier. Another Mega Charizard X. Our last Mega Charizard X went into S tier. This one is Fire type, not Dragon type. I'm pretty sure the Dragon type is a significant part of this Mega Charizard X's rating. This one also only has 220 HP as opposed to 230, and its attack does a 100 plus. I don't care what that plus is, it's going into D tier. This Charizard from Generations is a nice fella. He's hanging out. He's got some Pokemon trainer by its side, some unknown Pokemon trainer. I don't know. This isn't Ash, okay? This isn't Gary. This isn't Professor Oak. This is just some Randy. And this Charizard is shielding the Randy Pokemon trainer with its wing, protecting it from the elements, protecting it from the snow. I love a Pokemon card that shows off the camaraderie between Pokemon and their trainers. For that, this card is going straight to the A tier. Another full art Charizard EX. I would be yawning, but this one has got a Magmar in the corner and a Flareon down in the bottom right. I bet you didn't even see it. Going to the B tier. Oh, did this just become my favorite Charizard? The flavor text on Generations Charizard reads, "No matter what happens, if we stick together, we can get past it forever and ever." Promotion to S tier. People are buying out boxes of evolutions left and right, spiking the price of that set to about $1,000 a booster box, even though there's no good cards in it. Just this Evolutions holographic Charizard that kind of looks like the one from base set. There's also some Charizard EX is in there, I guess, but base set Charizard is C tier, overrated, which makes this card an instant D tier. So I guess we got this reprint Mega Charizard, but it's a full art, but I'm salty that Mega Charizard X didn't get one, so it's going into D tier. Pokemon GX were some of the coolest Pokemon cards ever printed. They got this special GX attack. Charizard GX from Burning Shadows can use the attack Raging Out GX. You discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck, and it can do 300 damage, and it has 250 hit points. That smells like a B tier card to me. The first ever Rainbow Rare Charizard GX, also from Burning Shadows. This card sells for upwards of $500 to $1,000, but it's a Rainbow Rare, so we're putting it into D tier. Dragon's Majesty was a mini set printed in the middle of the Sun and Moon block. I actually played while this card was released, and I didn't remember it, and neither will you. D tier. 2 Charizards from Team Up. We got the holographic one that was a promo and the non-holo one. Both of them look absolutely gnarly, so we're going to put them into B tier. Detective Pikachu was an awesome movie. Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, pretty much a dream come true scenario for me. I got to see some of my favorite Pokemon rendered in 3D. Some Pokemon I didn't even know that I wanted to see rendered in 3D. This thing is so gnarly, it's kind of disturbing to look at. If you encountered a Charizard in real life, I think the implication is that this is what it would look like. And for answering that question alone, it's going straight to the A tier. The holographic Charizard from the Detective Pikachu mini set. It's got 180 HP and does 180 damage. I love the symmetry. We're putting it in C tier. Charizard doesn't like sharing the stage with anybody. I don't care if you're a box legendary. Charizard is front and center in my heart on all of my favorite Pokemon cards. Therefore, this card is going straight to the D tier. Full art Reshiram and Charizard is definitely the worst version of this card. And again, it's only 50% Charizard, and the Charizard looks like it's a little miniature awkward 3D model, just like kind of pasted onto the card. If there was an F tier, it would go there. Rainbow Rare Reshiram and Charizard getting the same exact treatment. This full art promo Reshiram and Charizard is like almost a really dope card. It's got this black background. There's like flames in the background, fiery haunters or something back there. But then Reshiram has got this like really stiff, awkward looking chicken neck that just like compositionally does not jive with the card at all. Like, why is Reshiram's neck so like, I can't. It's going straight into the D tier. Now, this thing can do 300 damage and actually saw a lot of play. But the thing is that we never ever evolved into Charizard GX. We just welded onto Mewtwo and copied the Charizard GX's attack with Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. My Charizards don't like taking a backseat to anybody. So this Charizard GX is going straight to the D tier. How many shiny Charizards do we have at this point? It's like the America Charizard. This Charizard is red, white, and blue. Bleeds red, white, and blue. And for that, we're putting it into B tier. Now this Charizard GX promo is the same one as this one here, except it's got a much nicer artwork. For that, we'll put it into C tier. I said before that Charizard doesn't like sharing the stage with anybody. It's an insult to Charizard that it has to be on the same card as another Pokemon. Now, Braixen is pretty cool, training to be a fire mage. I respect that. What is this giant yellow bulb taking up half of the card art? It just is awkward and takes away from the amount of Charizard that I can see. Therefore, it's going straight to D tier. Braixen looks like it's taking a ride on Charizard, and that's pretty fun, you know? Some Charizards like to help their friends out. If this is a Charizard that likes to help people out, like the Generations Charizard, then I definitely can't be hating. we're putting this one into C tier. It's got like its hands crossed like he's trying to look tough or something. It's like I stayed up till 3 a.m. the night before the card artwork was due and submitted this and just hoped that the outer glow filter on the Charizard was enough to get me a passing grade. Well, it didn't. It's not D tier. This Charizard and Braixen Tag Team GX promo artwork has got a lot going on. Braixen is in the foreground, and I hate that because nobody should be in the foreground in front of my Charizard. D tier. The first ever Charizard V, printed in Darkness Ablaze, got 220 hit points, and its Fire Spin attack does 220 damage. I would be impressed, but Charizard EX from Fire Red Leaf Green does 200 damage, and that card was printed like 15 years ago. Is going to end up in the D tier. Charizard VMAX is a big dude. He's got 330 HP. You got to put some respect on that. It does 300 damage. Even though you're not the first Charizard to do 300 damage, you are the first Charizard to do it with 330 HP, and still the biggest Charizard printed to date. One of the most significant qualities in assessing any Charizard card is how big are the numbers. Charizard VMAX, A tier. Rainbow Rare Charizard VMAX belongs in D tier. And then the shiny Charizard VMAX would go into S tier, but it's worth too much money, so we're putting it into D tier. Shiny Charizard V and the full art Charizard V are the same exact card, except one is black and red, one is orange and green. The shiny Charizard V was put into Champion's Path just as a chase card, even though it really had nothing to do with the set. For those marketing strategies alone, I'm putting these cards into D tier. Did I forget this Charizard? It's cool, man. You're going into D tier. Vivid Voltage Charizard has to be probably, most likely, the best Charizard ever printed. It allows you to draw cards. It does upwards of 330 damage. It's got Leon on the card. But when it comes to Charizard, playability means nothing. So Vivid Voltage Charizard is going straight to the D tier, but this promo one looks incredible, and I happen to have a PSA 9 staff promo version of it, so we're going to put it into B tier. As you can see, I used only the most stringent and objective guidelines when ranking these Charizard cards. If you disagree with my list, you can go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video or dislike it. Sub to the channel, ring that bell, and of course, check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream live Pokemon trading card game content every single weekday. Y'all have a busted day. Peace.